All right. Let's go. Yeah, absolutely. You can ask a question ahead of time. That's more than welcome. I will start with that. Let's see. So do you have any particular circumstances that you run into that are a problem? Like, I assume are you talking about keys or raid, first of all, actually? Okay, so do you have any specific circumstances that you struggle with? Was there a nerf that just came through that I missed? Last I saw that they did a buff tuning pass. That's lame. I mean, understandable. And I got to be honest, I don't have like previous numbers to compare to, and my weak auras aren't set up, so my damage is not optimal with testing right now. Yeah, I mean, it was a little over the top. That doesn't surprise me. It's not the right one. I don't know. I'll check it out. I honestly think, like, I watched Toe Grinder's thing and I watched Preet's thing, and like, we haven't even settled necessarily on a talent build yet, so we're not gonna have a good idea of the numbers quite yet. It's interesting that Ignite. So if Ignite got nerfed, how much haste do you have? Yeah, Ignite is a lot of damage in single target. So if it's an Ignite nerf, then it's gonna hit single. But my guess is they did the Ignite nerf to offset the extra mastery we get during combustion, because they buffed this to like what, 25% from 50 to 75. So Fire Mage is still going to be pretty insane, I think, by all measure. Okay, so, and you are taking this talent, correct? Fiery Rush. Yeah, I agree with that. 30, getting north of 30. And I think on live, I have like, I can't think of how much I have, but yeah, you want as much haste as possible. But so long as you're taking all the right talents, are you tracking Feel the Burn? That's like the main source of damage is going to be Ignite. So making sure that you're rotating like your Fire Blast Pyro, and then you don't want to cast Phoenix Flames unless you have to, because you do lose that 2% mastery buff right now from the ashes. But you do want to make sure that you're using Phoenix Flames, like weaving Phoenix Flames, then Pyro in between Fire Blast Pyros when you start getting low on Fire Blast charges, because that makes keeping Feel the Burn up a lot easier. Yeah, so if you are tracking Feel the Burn, another thing that I've noticed with my damage that's led to improvement is I've started paying a lot closer attention to pooling and using Pyroclasm procs. So like during main combustion, when you have an SKB proc coming up, if like assessing and deciding, okay, I know that Pyroclasm is going to last until I can use it to activate SKB, or I have to send it right now before I lose it. I think managing pyroclasm procs better is something that's helped my damage a lot, especially outside of combustion, because it's kind of surprising how much damage Ignite does if you get a couple pyros back to back without combustion, because this right here, Ignite does a little bit more damage outside of Bust. But really, really trying hard to make sure that, like, if I can use a pyroclasm proc to activate SKB, I try to make that happen whenever I can. And then another thing in keys that can really help is trying to make sure that you have an SKB proc, or you're close to an SKB proc going into every pull, right? So if you're coming up, say the pack is at like 30% and you're coming up on 6 stacks or like 5 stacks, if you don't think you can get that entire SKB proc out, what I will do sometimes is unless like something absolutely has to die, or is bolstering or something like that. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just start spamming Scorch in Execute, because they're all crits. So it's okay damage. And then when I get to 6 SKB stacks, pulling a Hot Streak, and then right towards the end of the pull, when that last mob dies, casting Pyro. So I have 30 seconds on 7 stacks of SKB as we start running to the next pull. So that gives me, or like just trying to make sure that you refresh your SKB before, I guess it's more important, right before you, the last mob dies. So you have the most amount of time possible to make it to the next pull. And since we take Firestarter, if you go quickly, you can just quickly get a Fireball, Fire Blast out, and then not lose your SKB stacks. So that was another thing that I found has helped my Mythic Plus damage quite a bit. I haven't figured out. So what I know of the rotation, I watched in Preed's video. They said, he said something about doing 2 SKB procs in the opener where you start the main combust. I feel like if that has been done in a training dummy, Firestarter may skew that a bit. I don't know 100% on that, but when it comes to the tier, what I've kind of found in the bit of testing, I don't have a lot of time, or as much time as I'd like these days, but in the testing I have done, I found that it kind of falls into a rhythm a little bit, but you have to make sure to like start with your Phoenix Flames to make sure that the buff's up so you can start accumulating. And the tricky part that I found is making sure you have an SKB, or not an SKB, a Phoenix Flames charge when you get the tier bonus, which, yeah, see, that dropped off. So the rotation is going to, yeah, see, now I have the buff. So I can kind of hold on to that free charge for a while because it's a long thing. As that drops off, refresh. So I think that it's going to center around there. I feel like there's going to be a bit of a rhythm after the opener. It kind of feels like those empowered Phoenix Flames are going to be used like right before you roll into SKB or stuff like that. Like, let me show you the duration of the debuff, right? So I have an SKB proc. If I Phoenix Flames to get the debuff up, then Pyro and go. Notice how there was like 7.5 seconds. So it kind of seems like that's the rhythm that it's going to fall into a little bit is, yeah. And basically 100% uptime. Mind you, right now I'm using Alexstrasza's and a third charge. I don't know if 3 charges of Phoenix Flames is going to be the play. The Sims are going to kind of be the ones to decide that. But quality of life wise, 3 charges, because like I said, you have to have 1 charge in the bank in order to use the yeah, for the 100% crit. Mainly because, like, if you have to cast Phoenix Flames all the time anyways, I don't know. It really sets up for a lot more continuity. Plus, you want to be casting Phoenix Flames, which is counterintuitive to the mastery that you get from this. So, again, the sims will determine whether or not. But yeah, for the 100% crit. And I have no muscle memory for including Dragon's Breath in my rotation because I didn't play Fire Mage and Legion when the Dragon's Breath crit thing was a thing. But I'm sure the Dragon's Breath is going to be a part of at least the AoE rotation. But since it crits all the time and gives you a heating up, that will be a part of it as well. But like I said, I think the big thing, like opener with a pyro and that. And then you roll into, well, not in raid, but like in an AoE situation. And then I would try really hard. So what am I at? 7. Okay. Okay, see, that was an awkward situation. I lost Feel the Burn because I needed to get the Charred Embers buff back up. So there's somewhere in the rotation, I have to find a Phoenix Flames, like to refresh it, maybe right before I do Shifting Power. But like, I think that's going to be a little bit of the annoyance with this is there's going to be a little bit of a, I mean, it's not really a ramp, but too many buffs to track, I think is what I'm getting at. I don't think it's as bad as I initially expected, but and more haste should make everything feel just a whole lot better. Excuse me. Somehow I am still sick. Like, it's unbelievable. I hope not. I tried using it when I initially swapped to fire. This patch, I tried using it and I was not a fan. It doesn't feel like it lines up well at all, especially as a troll with berserking on a 3-minute. I'm hoping that, I mean, well, we won't have access to Feather. But there's going to be another icon style trinket in raid. And then one that I could see being good isn't, hey, Alex, thank you so much for the sub. Yeah, there's a, let's see, what? Isn't Halls of Infusion coming in the rotation? I think that Halls of Infusion, I need to look. For some reason, I feel like somebody told me this is coming up. I need to double check. Yeah, okay. I feel like this could be a good option as well. But I don't know. It does decay pretty quickly, but the mastery is dope. And then let's see, is Mage hard to learn for a new person? I would say that Frost Mage has the easiest learning curve of all 3 of the specs. Arcane is the hardest. Fire Combustion is pretty busy, but once you get the muscle memory down, it's a pretty fluid playstyle. But outside of the initial learning curve for some of the fundamentals for how each spec plays, there are some particulars. I wouldn't say it's too much harder than any other class. I haven't played alts in a while, but once you get the fundamentals down, playing Mage is a pretty good time. Like I said, Frost being the by far the most mellow learning curve. Yeah, I kind of I used to spend a lot of time trying to figure out like which things I wanted to target, but now I kind of just wait till the patch launches and start simming like crazy. I have to say I have been in love with double passive trinkets though. I hope there's a world that exists that we get to do that again. Cuz that's rare for fire. That is a rare thing for fire. I'm really going to have to kick my muscle memory for Phoenix Flames because Phoenix Flames is no longer just a combustion filler. It's a buff. Sure. Let me go to org and hit the vendor. Oh, I don't have a mount button. I'm hoofing it. Show me trinkets. Let's see. Which trinket was it? Call the Chaos? No. Sorry. Ah. Wait. What's it called? Beacon to the Beyond. Ooh, I am blind. Woo! Got it. I beat the trinket raid boss. Did I? I did, yes. I beat the trinket raid boss. I did it. I told you I'm still sick. My brain is not back yet. I cannot believe how hard this is. Woo! Brain frog is real. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a really big number on that trinket. I guess I could have gone to the org enemies. Okay, I have to find a dragon mount. Okay, what's the cooldown on it? 2.5 minutes. Damage is increased for each enemy struck, up to 5 enemies. Okay. All nearby, so it's melee range. Boom! That's a big hit. That's a big hit. 750K from, it's not bad. That's interesting. I'm generally not a fan of direct damage trinkets. Like, but when they're good, and it has mastery on it. Which, yeah, that'd be cool. At least a trinket like this would completely decouple it from combustion. So you could have this as a cooldown outside of combustion. Yeah, that's awesome. I got to spend this next week getting super caught up on everything next patch. I've been doing job stuff, all kinds of stuff, but it's time for 10.1. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Even though the fire tier is a little wonky, I'm looking forward to a big fire mage tier. I think that's going to be a pretty good time. With the flow, steadily rising, high tide fall. Seconds. I don't. If Frost ended up being the best spec, I would say this seems like a Frost trinket to me. Just because of that crit for 12 seconds would be really good for like icicles critting and icy propulsion cooldown reduction. But crit doesn't really, I mean, we did get a buff to this, so crit does have a bit more value. I don't know. It really all depends, I think, on how the damage part of that is tuned. Because we would only benefit at that 12 seconds. As fire, we'd only benefit if that 12 seconds happen to line up during bust. So, in reality, I see that as potentially a pretty solid Frost passive trinket. And I can't remember what the icon trinket is called. One of these. Oh, I think it's this one. I didn't remember its increased damage taken. That's going to be fun and scary, potentially. I think I like this trinket the more I think about it. The mastery's awesome. Let's just crit on it. That feels a little better. But we did get that buff. But yeah, the mastery's awesome, and I kind of love the idea of having it. Yeah. I don't know. It's a big hit. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Mages don't generally get to use those types of trinkets. We're all into buffing our own damage because we're greedy like that. I don't know. Ugh. Okay. I think I am going to cut this stream short again because, like I said, I cannot believe I'm still sick. But with 10.1 coming out, I wanted to get the stream up and talk about a little bit of what I'm thinking. But my plan is that because I started the job and I don't have as much time, what I'm going to do is basically focus on figuring out my game plan for raid, for keys. You know, I'm still pushing and doing cutting edge raiding and all of that. And as soon as I have a like Fire Mage guide worth of information on stuff, I'm hoping in the first week to 2 weeks of the tier, then I'll put together a live stream, this coaching AMA thing, and do a fire guide. And yeah, as the tier starts to take shape, people will have better or more specific questions and like, you know, better ideas of what they want to work on. So thanks to everyone for dropping by. I hope you learned something, and I will catch you next week. Happy 10.1.